Schmoozing with Brad. Oh, we have that. It's November 11th. It's Veterans Day in America. People say, well, what is the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day? But if you think about what a veteran is and what we're memorializing, so Veterans Day, we are celebrating the veterans who are alive, who are in the U.S. military, whether in combat or not in combat. We're celebrating them. We're celebrating people who were in the military. Memorial Day is a time to remember those who gave their lives for our country. Veterans Day is for those who served. So the key thing between Veterans Day and Memorial Day is we are honoring people who served in the military today. In Memorial Day, which starts and kicks off the summer, we are honoring those who gave their lives for the United States of America. This year, Donald Trump accepted the invitation to preside over the Veterans Day Parade in New York City. All I can tell you is that it caused an enormous amount of traffic, and I can't wait for him to leave New York City. Tomorrow, in the Supreme Court of the United States, is going to be the DACA court case. And it's actually one of the lawyers who are arguing on behalf of the DACA recipients is a DACA recipient himself. Now, let me tell you where we're at. President Obama, back in 2012, he passed a DACA executive order. And what DACA said is that if you came to the United States before the age of 16 and you were physically here on June 15th, 2007, and you were here continuously through June 15th, 2012, and you graduated high school or were on your way to graduating high school, and you were under 31 years of age on June 15th, 2012, you get deferred action for childhood arrival, which allowed you to get a work permit, avoid deportation, even if you've already been ordered deported, and to allow you to travel on advance parole back and forth. Now, Donald Trump, when he was running for president, besides the fact that he ran as an anti-immigration campaign, he was railing President Obama, saying he can't make these executive orders, that's illegal, which is kind of funny because Donald Trump has made more executive actions and more executive orders than anybody. This is the backstory on DACA. So when he came into power, which is now going to be in the Supreme Court, when he came into power, he was kind of conflicted, at least according to the news reports. And his conflict on one hand, he has to follow through on his campaign promises. He says he's going to deport all these dreamers. But on the other hand, how can you deport 700 or 800,000 kids who grew up here, who he educated, who are working legally, paying their taxes and contributing to America? As a matter of fact, one of these kids went to law school and is actually arguing the case in the Supreme Court. Thousands of these kids are working at Apple. Thousands of these kids are working at Google. They are making a difference in America. How do you deport them back to a country that they never lived in? As a human being conflicted, anybody would say you can't do that. It's a terrible, terrible thing. Except there's some people in his administration who aren't so human. And they say, Donald, you have to do it. You gotta follow through on your campaign promise. So it took him a year, and eventually he asked Elaine Duke, because nobody wanted to be responsible for ending the DACA program, because most people, no matter how much ice they got running through their vein, nobody wants to end the DACA program and send all these deserving kids back to another country. So Jeff Sessions didn't want to do it. Nobody in his administration wanted to do it. So there was a career diplomat who was high up in the Department of Homeland Security, not the highest person, but high up, actually the former acting secretary of Homeland Security, which is not the director, but the secretary, Elaine Duke. She was a career government worker. And Jeff Sessions, who was at the time, we used to call him the Weasel, who was at the time the Attorney General of the United States of America, he ordered Elaine Duke to write the memo to end DACA because Trump ordered Sessions. Sessions didn't want to be responsible for ending DACA. He said he passed the buck to this woman, Elaine Duke. So Elaine Duke doesn't want to be responsible for ending it. She doesn't want to give the reasons why, because everyone knows the reasons why. So they give it to this poor woman, Elaine Duke, acting Secretary of Homeland Security. You write the memo, give the legal analysis why DACA should be ended. So Elaine Duke writes a memo, and basically the memo was, I'm paraphrasing, DACA is unlawful. President Obama exceeded his authority, therefore it is over. Now that is no legal reasoning whatsoever. Had they had any legal basis, policy decision, costs, they could have come up with 100 reasons why they needed to end DACA. None of them would have been fair reasons, but they could have come up with 100 reasons to end DACA. Is going to end because it is just an unlawful act by Obama. That is what was seized by the pro-immigration groups that sued to keep DACA going. How did they sue? If anybody ever watches Abadir Sues the Government, we talk about it all the time. We talk about mandamus. We talk about Administrative Procedures Act. So they sued under the Administrative Procedures Act. So the Administrative Procedures Act says they have to have a government reason to end this program. And the lower court found on behalf of the DACA recipients, the circuit courts, the appeals courts found in favor of the DACA recipients. It's now in front of the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court follows the law, the DACA recipient should win. We will see where the Supreme Court falls on this. If you are a DACA recipient, it's probably a good time to start thinking, just in case DACA is lost, what else you should be able to be doing. I don't know if you know who this lady is. She used to be the ambassador for the United Nations. She's actually the daughter of immigrants. She was a former governor. She quit the Trump administration, although she's kind of friends with Donald still. She came out with a book. What was interesting in the book that she came out with was she said that the Chief of Staff, John Kelly, and the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, which is Donald Trump's right-hand man, when Donald Trump first came on. John Kelly used to be the head of the Department of Homeland Security. He is a decorated general of the military. They're smart guys. They came to work for Donald Trump. And what they said, according to Nikki Haley, was, paraphrasing, Trump's crazy, and that they needed to work against Donald Trump because he was working against America. They asked Nikki Haley to come on board and work with them to correct all the problems that Donald Trump was giving. Now, Nikki Haley, she claims, I'm quoting now Nikki Haley, confided in me that when they resisted the president, because they both got together to resist the president's policies, they weren't being insubordinate. They were trying to save the country. Powerful people in the administration thought Trump was crazy and had to save America. And now Trump says Rex Tillerson's dumb as a doornail. The other interesting thing that came out, besides this Nikki Haley book, is the book by Anonymous, another guy who is in the Trump White House, who says that there's a lot of career people and non-career people who Trump brought in who are working against Trump because he's so dangerous for America. And it's interesting that in two different books, we hear basically the same exact thing. And the Trump administration, for the first time ever, is proposing, and we're only going to be 4 countries in the world who do this, they're going to charge a fee if you apply for asylum. $50 asylum applications. So if you want to come to America and apply for asylum, you're escaping for your life from another country. You basically leave with the clothes on your back. If you don't have $50 in your wallet by the time you make it to America, you can't apply for asylum now. That's disgusting. Besides that, the other thing that's very interesting about the filing fees that are going up, and we don't know the exact date it's going to go up. It's been proposed, so at least it's going to be at least 120 days from now. So if you have an application, get it in. But what's interesting, I have the list here. The citizenship is going up dramatically. Why? Because Trump doesn't want anyone to become a citizen. Right now, an application for naturalization is $725 with a biometric fee. It is now going to go up to $1,170, an increase of $530. If your citizenship is denied and you want to appeal it, the appeals fee is now going to be $1,755 to appeal immigration's most likely wrong decision on making you a citizen. So for those who are eligible for citizenship and want to save the money, do it now. A North Dakota-based brewing company called Fargo teamed up with a local animal shelter to bring us a new 6-pack that has adoptable pups on each can. The brewery is offering a limited release of its Oneater dog beer cans. It's harder to adopt dogs sometimes labeled as Oneater dogs, which are dogs with special needs, I see. So Oneater dogs can be older dogs, deaf or blind dogs, amputees, or even dogs that are just plain ugly, dogs that most folks don't want. Many of these Oneater dogs have trouble socializing with other pets, so finding a home for them can be especially difficult because they aren't always able to go out to adoption events. So I feel very bad for these Oneater dogs, and it's very nice that this brewing company in North Dakota is doing this.